If your cleaner didn't clean your house properly, you would sack them. You wouldn't petition against them. You wouldn't protest against them. You would just sack them. Sorry, your services are no longer required. What's up there, guys? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rick. This is Fanfare for the Conscious. And in the video today, I'm going to be talking about where I've been, what I've been doing, and why I've not been making much content lately. So let's dive in. Now, I've been trying to make this video for a good long while now. I've written numerous boards. I've recorded at least twice, maybe 3 times now. And still not felt like I was happy with the content that I was putting together. Because I'm a little bit at a loss, if I'm completely honest, as to the state of the world right now. And it's not just those who are following the cause, quite honestly. And I know this is going to strike a few nerves with people. It's those who claim to be woken as well. Because we've been caught up arguing over pointless shit. I'm going to apologise just for my use of language, but I feel that strongly about it, that expletives are about the only way I can truly express myself. We are caught chasing our own tails, arguing amongst ourselves about things that truly don't matter, when what we should be doing is figuring out what we can all agree on. Because once we know what we can all agree on, that is the basis for us unifying and asserting ourselves. Everything else, make that personal choice, personal belief, whatever. But if we can agree on the fundamentals of the problem, which is that the governments which purport to represent us, which are supposed to protect us, which are supposed to defend our freedoms and secure them, the governments that work for us, are instead operating in service of foreign corporations, of international interests, and putting the actual will of the people second. They are conflating the reasons behind the actual problem, and they are ultimately failing to do the job that they've been hired to do at the end of the day. They've allowed a corrupt banking system to impoverish us, and they've taken the ability for our nation to create and manage its own money out of the hands of our nation, out of the hands of the people. They've incorporated our police forces. They have allowed the abuse, poisoning and kidnapping of our children, and they have overseen and assisted in the unlawful eviction from their homes of people on this land. People who have been convinced that they've been lent money that was never there in the first place and was never given to them. All they were ever given was a debt, the obligation to pay that debt. They weren't lent anything in the first place. And until we can come to that point where we figure out what fits in the middle of that Venn diagram of all the things that we individually believe, what are the things that are at the core that we all share? And we need to record that formally. So if we are ever questioned as to if we represent the people, we can prove it. Yes, I have the autographs and thumbprint seals of X number of people who live on the land which I claim to represent. It needs to be that ironclad. Said it before, I'll say it again. We need to be in a position whereby after we have served notice that we are suspending our parliament and deposing our monarch because they do not serve us anymore, and creating a system which will serve us, which will work for us, with people who will act as they should as our employees, not as our masters, dictators, overlords. People who will listen to us because they know if they don't, they will be sacked. And if they've committed crimes, they will go to prison or suffer whatever justice it is we determine that they need to pay. Whatever reparations we determine they need to pay. The roads, we've built them. We built them. The railways, we built them. The power lines, we built them. The sewers, we built them. The police stations, we manned them. The fire stations, we manned them. The hospitals, we staffed them. The armies, we enlist in them. We do it all. If your manager didn't turn up to work one day, could you still do your job? Probably. In most cases, at least in any job I've ever been, managers were more hindrance than they were help. So let's get rid of these people who are acting as if they are our managers, when they're not. They are our employees. We employ them to organise our collective affairs and to manage our collective affairs for us. If your cleaner didn't clean your house properly, you would sack them. You wouldn't petition against them. You wouldn't protest against them. You would just sack them. Sorry, your services are no longer required. Off you pop. That is what I'm suggesting we do. We find real, living men and women who are willing to take full responsibility for their actions, who are not willing to hide behind some kind of obtuse diplomatic immunity. Some laws which protect them from prosecution after they leave office. Why is that allowed? Why should these animals, these parasites, be allowed to commit such crimes against our people in office, which is supposed to operate in service of our people, and then be immune to our justice? Why should political parties of whatever particular affiliation be allowed to make promises which they break, which they do not fulfill? It's very simple. They shouldn't. And if you can agree with that, then it's time you got on board. At the very least, if you are not writing the documentation which will assert what we hold to be true, then you at least need to be there to approve it. Because if you are not involved in the way your country is run, the way your county is run, the way your town is run, the way your land is managed, then other people will do it for you. It is very simple. You either rule yourself or you are ruled. The only thing we can accept as being true are the things we can all agree on. Individually, we can accept whatever we want, but collectively we need to have a core, a set of beliefs that we can all record that we agree to. And that's the important thing. We need to have records. Standing in front of Parliament and shouting at them and protesting, or otherwise as a sole method of achieving something, is not going to work. I'm not saying those things can't occur. Those things can occur and they should occur. But it has to be in addition to having something formal. If we want these people to take us seriously, we need to act like we can do it. We need to look like we can do it. We need to prove that we can do it. So we gather on the land that we live as a community and we decide what we want. It is not my job to decide how those people in Yorkshire should be governing themselves. It is not my job to decide how the people in any of the counties of Wales or any other county or any other city or any other town, for that matter, governs their individual or organises their individual affairs. It's only our job to organise ourselves at whatever level we deem practical and we are capable of doing. There are some things which will be the job of the town or the village or whatever very local community to organise. There will be some things which require higher levels of organisation at the county level or the nation level or the union, if we choose to call it that. Anyway, what it ultimately comes down to is you. If you aren't involved in creating and asserting the authority of the people, the authority that you were given by your very birth, by the universe itself, then you are, by default, allowing them to continue doing what they're doing. We're doing our job. It's time that you did yours. If you do think that you can at the very least start to gather people under this idea of figuring out what we can all agree upon and only enact what we can all agree upon, and to make everyone personally responsible for their own actions at whatever level of society, then please contact me, fanfarefortheconscious@gmail.com. Apologies if this video was a little bit rambly. I just wanted to channel some truth from my heart without a board, without any prompts, so that maybe you guys can feel the urgency and the almost desperation of the situation that we face right now. Thank you very much for watching. If indeed you still are, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you did like this content. Take care of yourselves. Don't forget to stay free, think free and always act free. And I'll see you next time.